Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something that I think is really going to resonate with a lot of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about how to speak better English.
Mhm.
We found this really fascinating transcript from a podcast episode titled, Get This, Stop Saying This. Use these better words in English.
Catchy.
Right. And so what we're going to do today is pull out the golden nuggets from this episode and figure out how you can instantly level up your English, sound more fluent, more natural, basically like a native speaker.
Right.
And the best part.
The best part is it's not about memorizing a whole dictionary of new words.
Right.
It's about making smarter choices with the words you already know. You already have a lot of the tools. We're just
Okay.
going to fine-tune them.
So this transcript we found, it really hits on a pain point that I think so many English learners struggle with, which is that, you can have a really strong understanding of the language, you can follow complex conversations, but when it comes to actually speaking, you might fall back on, I don't know, kind of basic words.
The workhorse words.
Yeah, the workhorse words like very good, nice, very bad. And I think the point the transcript makes is so valid, which is that this can actually give people the impression that your English is simpler than it really is.
Yeah.
Your vocabulary might not be reflecting your true fluency.
It's all about presentation, isn't it? If you're using the same basic words all the time, it can make your English sound a bit, well, basic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so this episode really digs into how, by simply upgrading your vocabulary choices, you can actually elevate how fluent people perceive you to be. It's fascinating.
It is. It's like the difference between wearing, I don't know, sweatpants and a t-shirt every day versus dressing up for a special occasion.
Wow.
You're still you, but the way you present yourself makes a big impact.
Such a good analogy. So let's jump into the specifics, shall we? The first word this transcript tackles is very good.
Ah, classic.
Right. I mean, we all use it all the time. The food was very good. The movie was very good. He's a very good teacher.
Guilty as charged.
But the transcript offers up some really easy upgrades. For instance, instead of the food was very good, they suggest the food was delicious. Doesn't that sound so much more enticing?
It does. It really makes you think about the taste, the flavors. Very good is just kind of bland in comparison.
It is. It's almost like, with delicious, you can almost taste the food.
Exactly. It evokes a feeling.
And then for the movie was very good, they suggest. The movie was amazing. And I feel like amazing captures that sense of excitement, that wow factor that very good just misses.
Yeah, amazing implies that it was memorable, that it stood out from the crowd. Very good could just mean, it was all right.
Right. And finally, for he's a very good teacher, they suggest he's a fantastic teacher. Fantastic just elevates that praise, it really underlines his skill and impact.
Fantastic makes you think of someone who is inspiring, who goes above and beyond.
Right. So the point here is that these are small, simple word swaps, but they add so much more color and nuance to your English.
It's like adding spices to a dish.
Exactly. Now let's move on to the other side of the spectrum. The transcript also talks about very bad. And again, it's a phrase we use all the time. That's a very bad idea. The weather is very bad.
Yeah, it's straightforward, but not very impactful.
Right. So what are some alternatives we could use?
Well, the transcript suggests some really strong options like terrible, awful, and horrible. They even give the example, that service was horrible.
Oh, horrible. That's really strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and that's the point. These words carry more weight, more emotion. Terrible, awful, horrible. They really communicate how strongly you feel about something.
They add a sense of urgency, don't they? It's like you're not just saying something is bad, you're really emphasizing how bad it is.
Exactly. And that makes your English sound more authentic, more genuine, because you're expressing the degree of your feeling more accurately.
Okay, so we've covered very good and very bad. Now let's talk about a word that I think is probably the biggest culprit of them all.
Let me guess. You're talking about nice.
You got it.
Ah, nice. The ultimate filler word.
It is, isn't it? It's like the default adjective. She's a nice person. That's a nice dress. He's a nice guy.
It's so overused, it's almost lost our meaning.
Exactly. And the transcript really encourages you to ditch this overused word and be more specific. So instead of she's a nice person, you could say she's a kind person. Kind tells you something specific about her character.
It does. It suggests warmth, compassion. Nice is just, well, nice. That doesn't tell you much.
And then for that's a nice dress. How about that's a stylish dress?
Much better. Stylish gives you a visual. It tells you something about the design, the cut, the overall look.
Right. It paints a picture. And instead of, he's a nice guy,
Yeah.
consider he's very polite and helpful.
Again, much more descriptive. Polite and helpful are qualities you can actually observe and appreciate, whereas nice is just a vague impression.
So the takeaway here is that by being more specific in your word choice, you're actually giving your listener more information, and you're coming across as more articulate and thoughtful.
You're showing that you're paying attention to detail and that you can express your observations accurately.
Now, the transcript also has this really cool vocabulary boost chart that I want to share with you. It's basically a cheat sheet of quick and easy upgrades you can make right away.
I love a good cheat sheet.
Right. So the first one is, instead of saying very tired, they suggest exhausted.
Exhausted just has that oomph, doesn't it?
It does. It really emphasizes the feeling of being completely drained, which is so much more powerful than just very tired.
And then there's very happy becoming thrilled.
Oh, thrilled. That's such a great word for expressing genuine excitement and joy.
It elevates the emotion from just happiness to pure elation. You can practically hear the smile in someone's voice when they say thrilled.
Next up, we have very angry, transforming into furious.
Oh, now we're talking. Furious really captures that intensity, that feeling of being so angry you could burst.
It suggests a loss of control, a much more vivid image than just very angry.
And for when you're really, really hungry, very hungry becomes starving. I think we've all been there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Starving perfectly captures that desperate need for food. It's a universal feeling.
And finally, very clean gets upgraded to spotless.
Ooh, spotless. That's like sparkling clean.
It is. It implies a level of perfection, a complete absence of dirt or imperfections. It's like you could eat off the floor clean.
Exactly. So what I love about this chart is that it shows you how one well-chosen word can often replace two. And in doing so, it adds so much more impact and vividness to your language.
These aren't complex words, but they're definitely more expressive and nuanced than their very counterparts.
Agreed. Now, the transcript doesn't just stop at giving you these great alternatives. It actually encourages you to put them into practice.
Ah, the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. They suggest taking a few minutes to think about 3 things you commonly say using very good, very bad, or nice, and then make a conscious effort to swap those phrases out with some of the words we've discussed.
This is where the real learning happens. It's one thing to understand a concept, but it's another thing entirely to actually apply it.
Right. The transcript gives a couple of really good examples. Like, instead of saying, I'm very tired, you could say, I'm completely exhausted today.
Adding completely there just amplifies the feeling, doesn't it? It's like you're not just tired, you're utterly spent.
And then, he's a nice guy becomes, he's super polite and helpful. So again, you're breaking down that vague, nice into more specific, more descriptive qualities.
And by actively making these substitutions, you're essentially training your brain to start using these more natural, more impactful words automatically.
It's like building a new habit.
Exactly. You're rewiring your brain to favor more expressive language.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main message you want our listeners to take away?
I'd say the key takeaway is this. By consciously choosing more descriptive, more specific vocabulary, instead of relying on those basic, somewhat bland words like very good, very bad, and nice, you can make a significant difference in how you sound.
You'll instantly sound more fluent, more confident, and more natural when you speak English.
Precisely. And it's not about learning a ton of new words. It's about using the words you already know in a more impactful way.
It's amazing how these small changes can have such a big impact, isn't it?
It really is. And it makes you wonder, what other small tweaks could we make to our language that would have a similarly big impact? That's something worth thinking about.
It is. So, to our listeners, I encourage you to take just 1 or 2 of the upgrades we talked about today and start using them in your everyday conversations. You might be surprised at how quickly you start to notice a difference.
And who knows, maybe you'll even inspire those around you to step up their vocabulary game as well.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining us today. Until next time.
Happy upgrading!